everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for coming on here today. Thank you guys for continuing to support my channel. I've seen so much engagement in my recent videos and it's so exciting, guys. I'm so happy that a lot more people are watching my videos, taking note of my videos, commenting and all of that. I'm really excited about that. And if you're a returning subscriber, you know what I always say. Thank you so much for continuing to support me. If you're a new subscriber, welcome on board and I hope you really enjoy it here. If you're coming onto my channel for the first time, I really do welcome you and I hope you enjoy this enough to subscribe, to like, to share my videos. We talk about perfumes here. That's really all we do on this channel. We have fun with perfumes and I hope you enjoy it here. All right, so thank you so much again for joining me on yet another video. And today, guys, I want to talk about 6 iconic perfume lines, right? So it's different. Well, for some of them, it's same brand, but like different iconic perfumes. And I just wanted to talk us through a little bit of history. So guys, today I'll need you to grab a snack, grab a drink, and join me for a little history lesson on some of our popular iconic perfumes. I hope you enjoy this one, so let's go right into it. All right, guys, so when I say iconic, I actually mean that the perfumes are, well, they were significant in the time that they came out, in the time that they were launched. So when I talk about iconic, I just mean that they paved the way for certain perfumes of that particular time. Okay, so I'm going to start with the house of Dior. All right, and I'm going to start with Miss Dior. All right, so guys, I have this here, and this is my beautiful Miss Dior. Now, the original Miss Dior was created in 1947, and it was created for an elegant, young, spirited woman in love. So obviously there was a romantic history attached to Miss Dior, and it personified the spontaneous joie de vivre of today's young woman. So this had a lot of romantic history attached to it, and it basically represented freedom, seduction, characterized by an instant and captivating charm, or at least that's how it was described. It is a cheaper fragrance that basically glides from fresh fruity citrus to florals and then patchouli before terminating in a musky essence. And that basically describes how the fragrance progresses from the citrus to the florals and the musk, right? So it's got some mandarin, rose, jasmine in the middle, and then patchouli and musk. So that's what Miss Dior represented for its time. It definitely has that vintage smell. The version I have is the 2012 version. Of course, there are obviously a lot more versions that have been created over the years, but what I have is the 2012, and I really do love this. It definitely has a vintage smell, but I don't mind it, honestly, because it just gives me that vintage feel that I love. And quite frankly, Miss Dior is always going to be in my collection. It was iconic for its time. It represented that romanticized version of what a woman should be, and it was lovely. And I guess that for it to be relevant even in this time, I mean, there's various flankers of Miss Dior even right now, so I feel like it has stood the test of time, although I feel at some point they need to kind of give it a rest in terms of the flankers and just let, you know, what exists exist. But you know, it's definitely endured, and I think this is one of the most iconic fragrances from the house of Dior. Alrighty, so that's for Miss Dior. Now we go into the Poison, still from the house of Dior, but another set of fragrances from the house of Dior that evolved from Miss Dior. So the Poisons were, the first Dior Poison was launched by Christian Dior in 1985. And I feel, no, not I feel, but based on history, it was supposed to revitalize the brand's fragrance offerings. So Poison was launched in 1985, and the nose behind this was Edward Fletcher. It was revolutionary, it was dark, mysterious, elegant, and comprised the unrivaled alchemy of spicy, fruity, woody notes that were expected to mesmerize the senses further. Now, this became one of the fragrance icons of the 20th century. And so I believe that this was Dior's evolution from the more vintage notes into a more elevated and younger scent profile. So this marked a transition from, the older fragrance scent profile to a newer scent profile that appealed to, I guess, a younger market. And that birthed all the Dior, or rather all the Poison flankers. So the original and the flankers. And there you had the Poison Girls, the Hypnotic Poison, all kinds of poisons that Dior came up with. And I believe that this marked the change in terms of, the philosophy of Dior when it came to fragrances. And I believe that the Poisons were a very significant point in the transition for Dior. So Poison Girl, Hypnotic Poison, and all the other poisons are definitely iconic, and they made it into number 2 of my video. So I'm going to put them back where they belong. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the House of Chanel. Now, Chanel would always be associated with class. I mean, you can't talk about class in terms of fashion and perfumes without talking about Chanel. Chanel number 5, I'll start with that, was launched in 1986, I believe. It's a floral aldehyde fragrance consisting of aldehydes, ylang ylang, neroli, bergamot, iris, jasmine, rose, lily of the valley, sandalwood, vanilla, patchouli, and vetiver. I mean, Chanel is class. You can't talk about class without talking about Chanel perfume. So I'm talking about both Chanel number 5. I'm just bringing out the ones in my collection, but you get the picture. So we're transitioning from Chanel number 5 to Chanel Coco Mademoiselle. Now, Chanel Coco Mademoiselle was so for number 5, it leaned more aldehydic. Now, aldehydic fragrances are more vintage, and that was the smell that was popular at that time. But for Chanel Coco Mademoiselle, it was more amber floral and had similar notes to Chanel number 5, but without that aldehyde, ylang ylang, and neroli. So what it had in replacement for those notes were lychee and grapefruit. And it focused on 2 characteristics of Chanel, which were the jasmine absolute and the May rose. And it was dedicated, I'm talking about Chanel Coco Mademoiselle now. It was dedicated to brave modern women who valued luxury and elegance. And so it was less romanticized than number 5. Okay, so basically the House of Chanel basically had two iconic fragrances in their collection, or two iconic lines in their collection, which was the number 5 and the Coco Mademoiselle. The number 5 leaned more towards the vintagey side of things that had the aldehydes and all those typical grounding notes of patchouli, musk, all of that. And then the number 5 stepped things up a bit to include lychee, grapefruit, some more citrus. It was obviously more appealing to a younger generation. It was obviously brighter, fresher, and just basically more uplifting than what you had before. But both of them were icons of their time, still relevant to this time, and definitely a tribute to the house of Chanel in terms of just being iconic. So guys, Chanel Coco Mademoiselle, you can't beat that when it comes to class. All right. Now, next up, we have L'Interdit. So I just have one from that line, and that is the original L'Interdit eau de parfum. Now, the historical L'Interdit line was created in 1957 by Herbert de Givenchy. Is aldehydic floral, that's how it's described, and interdit in French is forbidden. This was created for Audrey Hepburn, and essentially what the story is that she had said she loved the scent profile and did not want anyone else to wear it. Now, I mean, right now, we can say that the House of Givenchy has gone against Audrey Hepburn's wishes. But the original line definitely had her as the muse. And the nose behind this is someone called Francis Faburon. It was a forbidden blend of white flowers and dark accords. It was a sensual bouquet of orange blossom, jasmine, and tuberose. It had some earthy dark tones. And I guess this emanated from the vetiver and patchouli, and it created what was described as a daringly addictive sensual fragrance. So typically, L'Interdit is described as a sweet, sexy, smoky fragrance, and it was definitely an icon of its time. And till today, L'Interdit, in my opinion, remains sexy and iconic. I mean, this perfume is sexy. It doesn't fail to capture attention. It's long lasting. It's smoky. It's just sexy. And I mean, when you think about Audrey Hepburn, you think sex symbol, you think iconic. And it only makes sense that this was created with her as the muse. So L'Interdit, another sexy, iconic line from the House of Givenchy. Great. All right, next up we have something from the House of Mugler. I'm going to be showing what I have, which is Alien. But I believe that in terms of Mugler's popularity, it started with Angel. Unfortunately, I don't have anything from the Angel line, so I'm just going to talk about Alien. Now, Alien was launched in 2005. It was inspired by the history of a female shaman guardian angel who wielded an enchanting talisman and was the bearer of a universal benevolent messenger. It was supposed to be an olfactory shock. And I believe that's what it was, because Alien was iconic for just going against the norm. Alien was a jasmine bomb. It caused a big sensation in its time. It was amber woody. It came after the success of Angel, definitely, like I said earlier. It's shaped like a talisman and is very reminiscent of a philosopher's stone or warlock object. It's got three main notes: the warm white amber in the base, woodsy notes in the heart, and then the jasmine at the top. So it doesn't have too many notes competing, but this is a masterpiece and it is sexy as hell. Alien is a masterpiece. It's iconic. As far as I'm concerned, it revolutionized what sexy meant for women. So it moved from that romanticized version of sexy to a bold, sexy, jasmine heavy scent. I didn't like Alien before, but after using it for a while and just using it dispassionately without necessarily thinking about notes or anything, Alien is sexy as hell. You know, Alien is sexy going against the norm. Is that kind of, I'm sexy. I don't need you to tell me what it means to be sexy. I just know that I'm sexy. And you either get on board or you get off the ship. That's what Alien is. And it's iconic. I love it. So it changed the game. It switched up what it meant to be sexy for women. Definitely an icon. Mugler, you did well with this one. Unfortunately, he's not here at this moment with us, but we celebrate him. We celebrate his being able to go against the grain, and we celebrate Alien. Thank you. All right, next up, we've got White Diamonds by Elizabeth Taylor. This is another icon of its time. Now, this is a floral aldehyde. Notice that the older fragrances definitely leaned a bit more aldehydic. That was what reigned at that time. It was launched in 1991, and the note behind this was Carlos Benane, created in typical fashion of perfumes in those days. That is aldehydic, like I said. It had lily, neroli, orange, bergamot, tuberose, jasmine, ylang ylang, carnation, Turkish rose, cinnamon at the base. It had amber, musk, sandalwood, oak musk, and patchouli. These are not all the notes, but these are the ones that I think were most prominent in this note. It was advertised with a cinematic TV commercial starring, obviously, the iconic Elizabeth Taylor. This fragrance had commercial success and was worth about $1.5 billion as at 2018. So who knows what it would be worth now. It's one of the world's best-selling celebrity fragrances. I believe that this fragrance actually paved the way for the popularity of celebrity fragrances. I mean, who doesn't know White Diamonds by Elizabeth Taylor? You know, it was worn, I mean, in terms of how she described it, it was supposed to be worn by the woman who seeks to make a statement in every room she enters and captures the beauty and confidence that defined Elizabeth Taylor. And we both know that Elizabeth Taylor was one woman who did not care about what society defined a woman to be. She had 1,000,001 loves in her life. She loved who she loved. She did not care. And I feel like that's what epitomized the modern woman. The modern woman who was not afraid of her sexuality, who was not afraid to love over and over and over again. The modern woman was not going to die with one man. She was going to continue to seek love regardless. And that's what Elizabeth Taylor epitomized. And I feel like that's the energy she put into White Diamonds. This is obviously very vintage. I use it, but on the days when I use White Diamonds, I just want to feel like a woman. I just want to feel like that woman who doesn't care. You know, that kind of feeling where you know that, oh, people might smell this and feel like it's vintage, but who cares? And that's when I wear this fragrance. It's absolutely stunning and very iconic. And that's White Diamonds for you. Finally, in the last segment, we've got Opium. Now, I've gifted my Opium, the original, to my mom because she definitely loves that fragrance and likes to reminisce about her past with it. So I gave it to her. But I've got Black Opium. I'm going to use that to represent, but I'll talk about the original Opium. Now, that was an oriental spicy perfume created for the fashion brand Yves Saint Laurent. It was created by Jean Auric and Jean-Louis Zach. I really do hope I'm getting these names correctly, but if you don't think they're correct, please let me know how they're pronounced in the comment section. I'm just going by what I saw online. It was launched in 1977 and it was inspired by China. It's one of the top 10 best-selling perfumes in France. So you can imagine how iconic this is. Opium was very controversial in its time and it caused a stir when YSL released this. I guess it was because the name behind this, that's YSL, was accused of insensitivity to Chinese history of opioid abuse, which destroyed many lives in China. But unfortunately, the more he was criticized, the more publicity this fragrance got. So the line retained its notoriety and, funny enough, became like the most popular for its time. Now, this was a lot of spices in the opening, then jasmine, citruses, carnation, cinnamon, sandalwood, patchouli, rose. And I'm talking about the original Opium. At the base, it had incense, myrrh, sandalwood, amber, benzoin, vanilla, coconut, musk, and cedar, and a myriad of other notes, but these are the ones that remain very prominent. Of course, it still retains the spices of its transition from the Opium line into the Black Opium range, which has a variety of flankers. And in the Black Opium range, you now have pear, coffee, almond to make it sweeter, to make it more cozy. So it's gotten rid of all those aldehydic spices, whatever, and just focused on the pear, the coffee, the almond to create that air of coziness, of sexy, of warmth, right? But it still remains one of the most iconic fragrances of its time, especially with regards to its linkage to China. So the Opium range, we transition into Black Opium, is the last iconic fragrance that we're talking about today. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this because I feel like this was a little bit of a history lesson. I enjoyed making this for you. Tell me if you have any of these fragrances, what you think about them. Do you agree with my reviews? Do you agree with the history? Do you agree that they are iconic? Tell me in the comment section, guys. I've enjoyed making this for you, and I really do hope I see you on my next video. If you've not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please click the subscribe button. Click the notification button so you know when I post a new video. Till I see you again on my next video, guys. I love you. Take care. Bye.